Hi, I'm Jerome Henry. I'm wireless instructor here at Fastlane. I'm CCIE wireless, and I'm also teaching the CCNP wireless classes, which there are 4 of them. The class I'd like to talk about here today is the IUWMS class. If you read the blueprint for the IUWMS class on Cisco.com, you might be disturbed about the agenda because it seems that there are a lot of topics coming in no specific order. Actually, I like this class because it's the class I call advanced. So if you've taken the CCNA wireless, or if you have the CCNA wireless level, you may be stuck at a level where you have a lot of questions on how to fine-tune some controller aspects or how to make things work better for a specific environment. And this class is going to be the one where you'll get all these answers. So we are covering the controller side of things with the new protocol, the CAPWAP protocol, and the finest configuration. But then we go deeper and we look at location services, we look at mesh, indoor mesh technology, and we try to get you optimized the way your controller works in the wireless environment so that you don't just install the controller and leave all the default values exactly as they are, but so that you can get into the controller and finely tune those values to make your controller work the best of its possibilities in your specific environment. Of course, one side of fine-tuning is that you already have a good understanding of the controller-based solution. You don't need to be an expert, but you need to have a good understanding of what the controller does, how it communicates with the access points, how wireless works, basically. That's why the prerequisite is typically a CCNA wireless type of level. So you want to have worked in wireless for a couple of years, maybe, or at least have a good understanding of how wireless works and be familiar with the controller-based solution. Also, the second condition is that be curious. Look at your controller, look at all these pages where you have all those values, those fields, and try to ask yourself, what do they do? What does it do if I change this or that? Maybe you want to experiment if you have a lab, or if you don't, try to look at the documentation, try to figure out what it does. So when you get to the class, you can go faster into fine-tuning, and instead of learning from the beginning, you'll be able to go faster into exactly fine-tuning what is interesting for your case. The IUWMS is quite an intense class. If you look at the student guide, it's something like 1,200 pages, and we have 5 days to cover them. So those 5 days will be intense days. And I see students giving up on the 3rd day. They had so much that they just carry on the last 2 days in a passive mode. That's why reading in advance is so important, because you'll be able to be faster in the first days, and you'll be able to integrate the information that you need instead of being overwhelmed by all this new information. Then during the week, my suggestion is have useful evenings. Go back to the items you checked during the day. Maybe highlight in the student guide the items that are more strange or new to you, and ask questions the next day about those. That way, you'll be able to get a sort of daily summary of what you learned on that day, and that is things that you'll be able to keep for the rest of your life. After the class, you'll get a lot of knowledge, and you'll need to apply this knowledge. If you just want to work in your environment better, the best thing to do is to get a test controller somehow and try to experiment with those values. Never use a production environment, of course, and think that you're going to apply what you learn in class without testing. You need to test those features because each environment is unique. Also, if you want to take the exam, the IUWMS exam, what you want to do is to read carefully the student guide, because each and every single item might be a source of question. And also, you want to go through those screens again, do some experimentation to really get a deep understanding, not a book understanding, but a real experience understanding of what those features do, so that when you get to the real exam, you may get some troubleshooting screenshots, you may get some questions about specific configuration size of the controller. In any case, you'll be ready to face those questions because you'll know from your experience what the things do and how they do them. What I like about the IUWMS class is that the gear, the lab hardware you're going to work on, is actually built not only for wireless, but also for location in wireless. And that is very interesting. It's very challenging actually for the partner setting up the lab you're going to work on. It's going to be a remote lab, and you're going to be able to locate devices, RFID tags, laptop, etc. So not only will you be working on the controller and a couple of access points for the mesh section of it, but you'll be also working on a larger scale with up to 8 access points that you'll be using to locate devices in a preset room. And that is very interesting if you don't have the possibility in your real environment to do location with that many access points, that many RFID tags, etc. You'll be able to perform those tasks here with the location appliance, the MSC, etc. on a self-contained environment, which is preset for you to be able to perform those tasks efficiently. There is always the balance of why should I take a class? Why don't I just read to prepare for the exam or to get that knowledge? If your aim is to prepare for the exam, you may be tempted to read some self-preparation book. Why not? It might be a good starting point. But of course, it's not going to give you the experience of locating devices, working on mesh devices. So that lack of experience may show on the day of the real exam. That's one thing. Also, if you want to get that knowledge, not only for the exam, but for your real work experience, you need to have hands-on. And you know, the material is 1,200 pages. So if you read a self-prep book, how much are you going to remember from that? The good advantage of the class is that the instructor is going to be able to point those items that you want to remember, explain those difficult points where two sets of configuration may look very similar, and also help you be efficient in performing the tasks that you came for.